8,800 Ramondre Stevenson is probably my lock of the night here, Tyson. What are you thinking?
I think it's such an obvious play. I'm going to have a lot of Ramondre Stevenson, but I don't know, man. I think that there's some other awesome plays at captain that I'm more interested in. Let's get into this. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. As usual, we're talking showdown. Monday Night Football, the Patriots traveling into Phoenix, going up against the Cardinals, coming off of a bye week. This has been one of the healthiest versions of the Cardinals that we've seen. Still not all the way there. Still having some defensive guys out and some offensive line issues. But overall, I think the Cardinals can win this game. Look, yeah, you might think that that's a homer take. We got two Cardinals fans here. We hate the Cardinals more than anybody. So if I really, I root against them sometimes. And I think a lot of Cardinals fans are rooting against them for this game because, hey, we want a freaking higher draft pick at this point. But dude, they're not out of the playoff hunt, right? I mean, they still got a shot. It's a long shot, but there's still a shot.
So they were eliminated from the NFC West contention yesterday with that ridiculous 49ers win, who, by the way, looked really good despite having Brock Purdy at quarterback.
Yeah.
I would normally expect tonight to be the night that we'd be eliminated from the playoff race, but the NFC is kind of struggling so far. So they're still alive, and we have a shot to make it. And if there's really a team with nothing left to lose, it kind of is the Cardinals, right? I know that they can probably be projected for a top 5 pick with the loss tonight, but Steve kind of doesn't know what the fuck to do with draft picks.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Who knows?
Look, this Patriots team is not very impressive. I mean, we all saw Mac Jones on the sideline yelling at Matt Patricia or whoever he was yelling at to throw the effing ball or whatever he said, throw it down the field, because that was a joke. I mean, they even gave up in that game last week. Another reason why I think Ramondre Stevenson, he was going against obviously a much better defense, but still, unless he gets 6 or 7 dump offs, there is a situation where maybe he might not get you there. He might only end up with 11 or 12 fantasy points. We saw it last week. If it wasn't for like 4 or 5 dump offs in the late fourth quarter, he would not have got there. This is a whole different defense, though. This defense is not that great. So that could be a huge boost to this Patriots offense. And maybe that's exactly what they need. They need a shitty team like the Cardinals to go against and to get some balls down the field. Now, Jacoby Myers is out, so that's going to be a thing. Damian Harris is doubtful. We're going to assume that he's out for this one. So Ramondre Stevenson becomes an absolute almost lock. I do agree with that. But everybody else, he's going to be 95% owned probably. So we got to talk about if there's any leverage to just maybe leaving him out of a few lineups and maybe not playing him at captain as much because I think a lot of those lineups are going to end up looking the same. Anyways, throw us a like on the way in, guys. We appreciate you. Let's talk briefly about last night. So this is the optimal lineup from last night. We talked about, most of the field and most of everyone was on the Dolphins last night. And I just thought, man, the Chargers are healthy for like one of the first times this season. They have all their wide receivers, and they found a way to move Justin Herbert around that pocket a little more because they're still having some issues with that offensive line. But look at this. You got Mike Williams at captain, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Dicker the kicker, and Jason Sanders. I mean, I had a lot of lineups that looked like this. I just didn't have enough Mike Williams, unfortunately. How did you end up last night?
I broke even. I wouldn't get a build like this, and honestly, I probably wouldn't have landed on. I think the actual winner ended up with no Justin Herbert and had both wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and the kicker, right? So,
yeah.
It probably wasn't a lineup that I would have landed on, just the way that I was scripting for the Dolphins to win the game. But these aren't very shocking lineups if you really thought that LA was going to be able to keep in the game. So, congrats to everybody who pulled it out last night, and hopefully we can get it right tonight.
Someone in the Discord did bring up the fact that, having multiple pass catchers from your quarterback and the quarterback not being in, we see the optimal here. I don't know if anybody played this lineup. I don't know if this lineup won a lot of money, but this is the best possible lineup that you could build, and it does have the quarterback in it. So hey, when we're starting to build here, we can maybe play Hunter Henry and Devontae Parker and not have Mac Jones in. You know what I mean? Like that kind of situation. So you know what? Let's just get into our actual showdown matchup for tonight. Now I have caution on there only simply because technically this is a dome, but they could have they could have it open tonight. And there is a little bit of weather in the forecast. But
it's closed.
It's
closed. They announced it a few minutes ago.
Okay,
yeah, it'll be closed.
All right, so it'll be closed, which I figured that would happen. But the Patriots are 2.5-point favorites on the road. It's a 43.5 total, and you see that ownership going a little bit more towards New England. The interesting thing here is probably most of that ownership is coming from one guy, because after Ramondre Stevenson, I don't know who's going to be popular minus Mac Jones, simply just because he's a quarterback. There's just not a lot of other players I'm super interested in playing on New England. New England has a terrible roster if you really look at it. Now, they got a solid defense, obviously, one of the best in the league. And sorry, my dog's barking in the background. But imagine if you had, imagine if Bill Belichick had the Cardinals roster. This team would be a Super Bowl caliber team. So obviously, coaching and things like that is the biggest difference in this particular matchup, because Arizona has the talent. We know that. They've just been a pathetically managed team, and you got a guy like Kyler Murray who sometimes doesn't even seem like he wants to be there. He's dreaming about taking batting practice with what was he, drafted by the A's or something. So that's what you worry about with this team. But when things are clicking, this team can come out and score 35, 40 points without even blinking. So will we get that team tonight out of the Cardinals? I don't know. But look, the thing that worries me here is, for whatever reason, this team has traditionally been a great home team. Formerly University of Phoenix Stadium, now State Farm Stadium. They have been a really good home team over the past decade or so. Not so much recently. They're 1-6 in their last 7 home games. So that is also a little bit interesting. You probably see a lot of Patriots fans there. Overall, the Cardinals fans are not super high on this team right now, so you could see less of a home field advantage, and you could maybe see you can see a 1-7 record here. Anyways, what jumps out to you here? Are you surprised that the Patriots are favored in this game? It's got to just be because of how terrible the Cardinals have been recently, right?
Yeah, I'm not that surprised, to be honest with you. I think let's put it this way: I think Arizona probably should win this game, but the problem is they just have so many like coaching deficiencies, discipline deficiencies that the last the last head coach that I would want to play against with my season on the line would be a Bill Belichick coach team, right? Like, I feel like Bill Belichick is, of course, the one guy who can take advantage of all of our bullshit penalties, all our little mistakes. Like when we get to kickers, and Matt Prater might be one of the best plays on the slate, because the Cardinals offense could end up with getting down to the 5-yard line and then have 4 straight false starts. We'll talk shit all day about the Cardinals guys, but anyways, that's my point. I'm a little concerned about the Bill Belichick led team.
Yeah, let's get into our injuries.
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere.
So on the left side, we got the Patriots. Damien Harris probably is not going to play. He's doubtful. That's huge news, obviously, for Ramondre Stevenson, which is why he's so popular. If for some reason Harris does suit up tonight, I don't think that really matters much at all. I think Ramondre will end up getting still most of the snaps and still be an incredible play. Jacoby Myers is out. I think that's a huge deal. It opens up a lot of mid-ranged value and some low-end value, as far as like I think $1,400 for Tyquan Thornton is $1,400. You've got guys like that. Kendrick, most of these guys are between $5,000 to $5,800. These wide receivers, but I'm kind of interested in them because this Cardinals defense is not so great against anything. But they do. One thing to mention here. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I got to get this info out. One thing to mention against the Cardinals defense is they're actually, against wide receivers, holding their opponents to under a 90 rating. So they suck ass against tight ends. We know that. Just traditionally, over the years, we know that. But now it seems like the wide receivers, they're kind of shutting some of these wide receivers down a little bit more than you'd think, even though their overall defensive stats are not very high. So when it comes to the Cardinals here, Ellie, talk to me about who we have out for the Cardinals. I'm going to go shut my dog up here. Kyler is my dog's name, funny enough. Rondale Moore is out. That's kind of a big deal. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so obviously Rondell Moore is going to be the big one. I think we're just going to see a little bit more Greg Dortch. That's a little local fan favorite that we've been trying to get a little more run for. Started off the season great, so he's priced down, and we'll get to him when we discuss wide receivers. But he's a good option. But the thing that I'm looking at here is got Will Hernandez out. You got DJ Humphreys out. Our offensive line is pretty much in shambles. If the Matthew Judon and the Patriots defensive line can get going, this could be an interesting matchup for them. I'm not saying that we're going to be interested in the Patriots defense too much or at all, but this could be something that impacts the Cardinals offensive consistency, which is something that has been a real concern this year. I don't even know. We getting Max Garcia back, like we're down to a third string center. So if based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like we might be getting our second stringer back, but that's just really where we're at, right? This offensive line isn't great, and it's going to open up some stuff. And then to your point about the wide receivers, with Byron Murphy, he is also our best corner. With him being out, I think this is his second week out. I don't expect the Pats to be a pass heavy team here, but
yeah,
you can expect anything pretty much without our best player being out. He's our second best defender. JJ Watts, he is great, but he's inconsistent. He has health issues. It's Budda Baker, Byron Murphy, JJ Watt. All right, I spent too much time here.
All right, let's get into the breakdown here. Break it down. All right, so Kyler Murray is 11.2K, Mac Jones 9,600. I think because of Mac Jones's pricing, he's probably going to be relatively popular, even though he doesn't have a number one guy to pass to. And I think if the Cardinals blitz as much as they typically do, that's going to be bad news for him because his rating is pretty low when he's pressured and when he's hit. I don't see a world where Mac Jones, in my opinion, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. Now, I don't suggest you guys do that, but I'm going to. I just don't see a world where he ends up in the optimal or he throws 3 or 4 touchdown passes or even a couple touchdown passes. I just don't see it happening. And even if he does, I think there's other guys on this team that I'd rather focus on. So, Ellie, let's talk about Mac Jones real quick, and then we'll chat about Kyler here in a second.
Look, I think I might have a little bit different of a take than you. I'm going to be paying attention really to the ownership. If he comes in under 25% owned, then I'll be probably above the field. If he's closer to the 45 to 50% mark, that's probably too high ownership.
And that's what he's projected at right now is in the flex around 40% and then another 10%. So he's going to be over 50% total owned. And I think that's just too high.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think his ownership should probably be around the 25% mark, and that's probably where I'll end up being. I don't know if I have the balls to quit and check him, but and that's more just PTSD, so don't take that into account from a fantasy perspective, right? If it wasn't for the Cardinals, I don't know if Cam Newton has a true coming out game, right? Like you can just go back and look at quarterbacks who just had these career performances against the Cardinals. So that's really what I'm scared of the most. But probably 25% ownership on Mac is the way to go if you're MME. If you're throwing a single bullet, probably don't need him at all. You can go Stevenson, someone else.
One thing I will say about this Cardinals team, we've seen it so many times, man. If there is a get right game for a quarterback, it's against the Cardinals. How many times have we seen scrubs roll into Phoenix or play against the Cardinals at home and just look like Joe Montana? And
Andy Dalton still lit us up. Like, I understand he threw 2 pick sixes, but if it wasn't for those 2 pick sixes, the Saints probably win that game. Like, Andy Dalton lit them up.
In prime time. He still lost. They lost that game, but, he still was the optimal captain in that game. Mac Jones is not Andy Dalton, though. Mac Jones cannot throw the ball around like Andy Dalton. Kyler Murray at 11.2K. Dude, this is just such an obvious lock for me. I don't know if he's going to have his ceiling type game. Look, they're coming off of a bye week. I think that really helps this team in particular. They can really focus in, and with their lack of coaching ability and leadership on this team, I think that that does help them a little bit more. But look at his numbers. I mean, his lowest output this year has been 16 fantasy points, and he's had a bad year. So if he, and now that he has his wide receivers back, he's got all the guys he's need. This is only the second game in which we've had his top two wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown. Now I know that Rondale Moore is out, but Greg Dortch will slide right into that Rondale Moore position with no problem. AJ Green as a fourth wide receiver is what you want. You want AJ Green to be a fourth wide receiver. This year he's had to use AJ Green as the number one guy sometimes. So now that he's got full strength, I know his offensive line isn't looking great. And I know that, James Conner going up against this defense is going to be a very difficult matchup. But I really think that they utilize his legs in this matchup. And if you get a quarterback that can, he averages 40 rush yards a game. So if you get 50 rush yards and he punches a rushing touchdown in, he will be the optimal guy. Like you just can't avoid it. If you get these quarterbacks that can run the ball, that's 11 fantasy points from without even throwing the ball. So to me, it's a clear lock. I'm going to look at his ownership in the captain spot. If it's under 10%, I'm going to jam him into the captain spot quite a bit. So am I overhyping Kyler Murray here? Are you a little scared of him at all, or do you agree with me?
I agree with you. I actually, and this is just from a fandom perspective, I actually might like Kyler Murray more than you do, just as a fan in general. So I take what you're saying and then give it a couple levels of a boost. Look, you're right. Kyler struggled this season. He's still been a top fantasy performer. The Cardinals win games in spite of Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim, but that's another rant for another day. But Kyler's out there; they're getting him more involved in the run game. And what do you do against a team when you have a shitty offensive line with a mobile quarterback? You have more naked boots. You have more rollouts. Yes. You have more, moving the pocket.
Yeah,
those are things that'll help him be successful. And if the more opportunity he gets to run, the limit on his ceiling just keeps going up. Play Kyler Murray. I think you play a shitload of captain as well. And he'll probably be 100% owned for me. I don't think I'll have a lineup without him.
Now, I mean, the Pats defense is only allowing 18.8 points per game, which is seventh. And their defense is very good. They're basically top 10 in all of the major things you care about. But for me, this is a great matchup for Kyler Murray. If he can move around and he can get just a halfway decent amount of protection, I think he puts up 60, 70 yards rushing and has a rushing touchdown and throws 2 passing touchdowns. Running backs, let's start with New England. This is easy. Play Ramondre Stevenson at 8,800. I know in the opening we teased about some stuff with him. His pricing, I don't understand his pricing. Last week he was in an absolute smash spot. He didn't do great. But his salary, his price went down. I mean, I guess because he didn't have a great game potentially, but he's going to get 95% of the snaps most likely. At least that's what he got last week. And these other scrubs that play behind him, Kevin Harris, J.J. Taylor, Pierre Strong, we sort of had these moments where we're like, okay, who do we play as a backup last week? It didn't matter because nobody did anything. Kevin Harris got like 1 yard for -1 points, and I actually ended up not cashing because I lost by 0.1 in order to cash. So thanks, Kevin Harris. Anyways, my point here is play Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's a great captain option. He's probably going to be by far the most captain option. But for me, I think I want to play him in the flex more because I have Cardinals that I want to play in the captain spot. So what do you think about that, Ellie? And what about these backups? Are you interested in these guys? They're $200. You got to talk about them.
Yeah. So look, I think the thing to talk about with Stevenson is at 8,800, he is a prime captain play. The thing that you really got to think about here when you're looking at your exposure to him at the captain spot, though, is just the sheer amount of volume guys like Hollywood and DeAndre Hopkins can get. Ramondre Stevenson could have 130 rushing yards. If he doesn't get a touchdown, that's still only 13 fantasy points. He still needs to get 6, 7, 8 receptions and put up yards and probably score a touchdown, right? Otherwise, like it's not going to be a one facet game. he has to get the attempts, or he has to get the yards and the receptions, or the yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins is going to get 9 to 10 targets. He's going to get 8 to 10 receptions for 80 yards, right? And that's just the floor. And that's kind of the thing you need to be concerned about with Rhamondre. But outside of that, I will still have 100% exposure, most likely. I'll probably have a decent amount of captain. If he's coming in at like 25% captain ownership, then that's where I might start kind of toning it back. Probably be around 10 to 12%. It would probably be ideal for me for Rhamondre. But as far as the backups go, man, normally I'd be a little bit more interested in him. I still think JJ Taylor is the guy that they go with this week. As far as active backup running backs, I don't think they're going to do the Kevin Harris, Pierre Strong experiment again. That was a shit show last week. I mean, one fumbled and then the other had the negative 1 yard carry, and he looked like he died on that one carry. Man. Like I thought he died.
Yeah.
So we know what JJ Taylor is. I'm surprised they didn't play him last week, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I think he's the guy that's active.
Yeah.
But even then, like, I still think that there's some discount guys on the Cardinals side of the ball. They're going to have better opportunity. And this is back to one of those offenses. And I'm not saying the Cardinals or anything like the Chiefs or the Chargers, but I'd rather have Kyler throwing to Greg Dortch than Mac Jones throwing to fucking Pierre Strong or some shit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. You can run these guys in deep, large 20 maxes and deeper 150s, but other than that, probably not.
Rhamondre Stevenson played 98% of the snaps last week without Damian Harris. So they're going to just keep feeding him. There's no reason not to. And typically I'd be interested in some of these backup running backs. I'm not super interested in them in this particular matchup just because I don't think they're going to be on the field enough. And we saw it last week. It's probably going to be similar to that this week. Cardinals rush defense allows 4.6 yards per carry to running backs. That's not like the worst of the worst, but it's not good by any means. And look, this defense gives up 26.8 points a game. You got to think Rhamondre Stevenson is going to be part of some of those points, but you need him to score a touchdown. It can't be like last week. You just need him to score a touchdown. All right, let's go to the other side here. James Conner's 10K. I don't quite know why Conner is more expensive than Rhamondre Stevenson. If they're just going off of the previous week's output, then yeah, I get it. But overall, this is a terrible matchup for him. He had 25 carries against the Chargers, but you're talking about the Chargers. Now, the Chargers last night came out and had one of the most impressive defensive outputs I've seen in a while. That was incredible what they did to that Dolphins team. But that was not the same defense that they were playing the week before when it comes to the Cardinals. 25 carries, 120 yards, 3 receptions, and a touchdown. Pretty big game from him. But to me, the only way that James Conner gets you there is if he scores 2 of these goal line touchdowns, which is absolutely possible. They rely on him a lot in the red zone and in these goal line situations simply because this team can't get out of their own way in the red zone. So a lot of times just hand it off to James Conner 3 times straight and pray that he gets in because he's a big dude. Also, the receptions from this guy. Last year, he absolutely crushed when it came to that, but he's a touchdown machine. So if you're playing James Conner at 10K, you're going to have to expect him to probably get 2 touchdowns because I don't see him putting up another 100-plus yard rushing game. I don't see him putting up another, a huge receiving game in this one because of this Patriots defense. So you're gonna need touchdowns out of him. Keontae Ingram 2,600, Corey Clement 400. Similar situation to the Patriots. Ingram is not going to get a lot of run, most likely. You may get lucky and get a vultured touchdown on the goal line from Ingram. But at 2,600, you're going to maybe need a little bit more out of him than that. Corey Clement probably won't even see the field. Maybe he'll see like 5 or 6 snaps. I don't know. What are your thoughts on James Conner? This is a bad matchup, and I have to guess his ownership is going to be impacted from that.
Yeah, I mean, if he's coming in low owned, then I absolutely love James Conner. But if he's sitting around 25-30%, that's probably where he should be. I think I'd be a little bit more interested in him at the captain spot specifically, because at 10K, if he does pay off, it's going to be with 2 touchdowns and 100 rushing yards. And at that point, you may as well need him at the fucking captain spot, like we were talking about with Stevenson, right? So that's where I'm at. Don't hesitate to get some exposure. If you somehow have 10K left after you've thrown in Kyler and Hopkins, then sure, whatever. But I think there's other places to prioritize. That being said, there's one thing I meant to point out, like kind of when we got to the Kyler stuff. The Cardinals season is on the line. Everything that we're saying, like they could come out and be playing with an extra edge because of that, right? So James Conner might be one of the most physical guys that we have on the entire team. That's actually strong enough to back it up because besides like Buda Baker, right? So that's something that you want to think about. This could be a game where he easily ends up with like 60 rushing yards, but 2 rushing touchdowns because he got those goal line carries and then a screen pass dump off for another 20 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So like don't forget about something like that. This is where a running back can get a little bit more volume because the quarterback's making smarter plays and not throwing the ball away. He's dumping it off to his checkdowns. And then with that said, I do have a little bit of interest in Keontae Ingram, not so much in Corey Clement. I doubt he's active. But remember, we cut Eno Benjamin because James Conner is the guy that we paid to be the starting back. So This is probably more likely a Ramondre Stevenson situation where James gets closer to 98% of the touches and Keontae comes in to spell or in random situations.
Yeah.
But again, more explosive offense. I don't mind 2,600. That's fine.
Patriots giving up only 3.7 yards per carry to running backs. That is terrifying. So I think they involve Kyler more in the actual rush game, and they use James Conner as a decoy in certain situations and use him out of the backfield for receptions and goal line opportunities to run the ball. Let's go to wide receivers here. DeAndre Hopkins, 11.6K. Hollywood Marquise Brown, 7,600. Greg Dortch, 2,200. So DeAndre Hopkins, he has absolutely been crushing lately. This is the guy we all know and love, and he's expensive. I want so much Hopkins in this matchup. You got to assume he's even with Marquise Brown in the game. You got to assume that he's going to get 9, 10, 11 targets. And how many of those he catches and whether or not they're for touchdowns, I don't know, but he's going to get the opportunity. He is one of these guys. There's probably like 5 dudes in the league that when you throw that ball up, you're pretty confident he's going to come down for it with it, no matter who's guarding him, no matter how bad of a pass it is. He is one of these guys that can absolutely do that. The one thing I worry about with him is in goal line situations, they haven't utilized him as well as they should have been. If it's first and goal from inside the 10 and you don't throw the ball to him 3 times in the corner of the end zone, you are an idiot. And that's exactly what this team is. They're idiots. So it's all about whether or not Hopkins gets in the end zone. I think that's what makes him a great optimal captain, but he's expensive. So you really got to get that 20 plus performance out of him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think his floor is just really high because he has the ability to get so many receptions, and that's even without a touchdown. I mean, he had a touchdown last week and he had 20 points or 18.7, right? Before that, that's 2 weeks without a touchdown, and you still had 18 and 19, and that's just based on receptions and yards itself. And without the 100-yard bonus that he fell just short of 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
So, look, I don't know that there's a path that he doesn't pay off. The one thing that I do want to keep in mind here is I don't think it happens tonight. The Cardinals have a notorious problem of targeting the shit out of DeAndre Hopkins for the first quarter, getting him involved, and then not seeing another snap for the rest of the game. Just won't see another target.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that does concern me. I do feel like this is one of those situations Cliff could possibly overthink this and just stop calling Hopkins numbers. But I mean, if you watch the guy play, there's that 15-yard out route that he runs to the sideline.
Unbeatable.
It's fucking unstoppable.
Yeah.
There's you can throw it 8 yards out of bounds and he's still going to toe tap and catch it.
Yep.
So like, I don't know why we don't run it more, but DeAndre Hopkins is one of the top 3 wide receivers in the league. Okay, there you go. That's my analysis.
Hollywood Brown at 7,600, in my opinion, he's going to be. Look at that 7,600 price tag. I want to put a lot of him at captain. He's home run ability, but it's not just that. He's getting consistent targets. It's not like they're just tossing the ball down the field to him 2 or 3 times, and if he doesn't get it, he's screwed. 8 targets, 9, 10, 11, 17 against the Rams in week 3. Now, obviously, that's without D-Hop, but I think that these guys together on the field together really just opens things up for each one of them. It's not taking away anything by giving more targets to Hollywood. I think it just helps both of them. because you just can't stop both of these guys. I know the Patriots defense is good, but Hop and Marquise Brown with Kyler Murray back there running around like a little fart, man, it's hard to stop if they're on. Question is, flip a coin. Which version of the Cardinals do they show up as? That's the question. Now, Greg Dortch at 2,200, he's gonna fit right into that Rondale Moore role, just like he did when Rondale Moore got injured on the first play 2 weeks ago before the bye for them. Greg Dortch stepped in and had an incredible game. There's no reason why he can't do that again. 22 fantasy points. That's probably a little bit, that's more of his ceiling output. Probably not going to do that again. But at 2,200, if you get him with 15 fantasy points on a slate that doesn't have a lot of value, man, he's probably going to be needed. So talk to me about these guys. And obviously, AJ Green, I'm not interested in him at all at 5,200. If he was 200, maybe I'd be interested in him. Robbie Anderson, not interested in him at all. Now, not to say that these guys can't do something, but I don't want to risk it. I'd rather just focus on these three top guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hollywood, I mean, I think you're right on. I'll probably have he might end up being my highest owned captain just because of what he's priced at. But at 7,600, throw him in at the captain spot. He's gonna get a shitload of targets. And to your point, DeAndre Hopkins can only make the life easier for an entire offense, right? What are you supposed to do? Double cover Hollywood? Right, then you're going to leave Hopkins one-on-one all night. That's a recipe for disaster. So love Hollywood at 7,600, and I'll have a shitload of them. And then Greg Dortch at 2,200. No Rondell Moore. He's going to get involved. And again, this is the second game back for the rest of the wide receiver core to have both Hop and Marquise Brown, right? So these guys are still going to be getting better opportunities because of that. Now you can have AJ Green line up as the other flanker. You can run both Hollywood and Greg Dortch out of the slot, right? You don't need to have either one of them on the outside playing actual wide receiver.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to open up some more bullshit. And one of the things one of the things that you can do to help a shitty offensive line is these little dump off passes. And we know Cliff Kingsbury loves that lateral raid. So we're going to see some of those. And that's where Hollywood and Greg Dortch can do a lot of damage. AJ Green, Robbie, not going to be playing at all.
Yeah, I'm not touching those guys. All right, New England. Sorry, guys. We are talking a lot about these Cardinals players. Well, we're just giving you our insight because we watch these teams quite a bit. And we know how they roll. Devontae Parker is 5,800. Look, Devontae Parker at one point in his career, he could have been considered a clear number one when he was with Miami. I don't consider him anywhere near that now, but we saw him last week, or no, it was 2 weeks ago. That was on Thanksgiving, I think, that night game, right? Yeah. So he had 12 fantasy points, but look at his targets. I mean, he did have that 10 target game against Baltimore. He's just not really getting there. I think he's a boomer bust home run type hitter guy, and I don't have a lot of confidence in him. Nelson Aguilar is the same. He's 5K. Kendrick Bourne, the same thing, 5,400. Tyquan Thornton at 1,400 is interesting. I actually think that he's probably one of the best value plays on this entire slate. But what do we do with these four pass catchers, none of which are really a solid option, if you ask me? They're all in this middle price range. Are you going to try to focus on getting these guys, or do we want to kind of be under the field? What do we do? Because I'm just not excited to play any of these guys.
Yeah, man, I think all these guys are in play. I don't think you need any more than one in your lineup. Like, I'm not going to go out there and run Mac Jones, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar together, right? But I do think you can have one of these guys in your lineups. The top three, obviously, Parker, Aguilar, and Bourne, just given their prices. Tyquan should be kind of self-explanatory at the 1,400. We saw him getting run with a pretty healthy offensive or wide receiver core last week. So, the Cardinals are missing key portion of their defense in Byron Murphy. This is a team that allows explosive plays, and all it's going to take from one of these guys is a 60-yard touchdown to end up in the optimal. And all of these guys are capable of doing it. The difference is Devontae Parker might be probably a little too old to kind of have that same explosiveness that he used to have, but he could end up being the possession receiver with Jacoby Myers out with 8 to 10 receptions if that's the game plan that comes. But I prioritize Stevenson. Just prioritize the Cardinals skill players that you want, and then we kind of figure out where we land with these guys. I think is the
Yeah.
strategy I'll be taking.
Agreed. Now let's talk about prioritizing because this is an Arizona Cardinals slate. I don't care what year it is, what planet you're on. Play the tight ends against the Arizona Cardinals, and it hasn't changed, and it's still as bad as it ever was this year. Hunter Henry's 5,600. Jonnu Smith is 3K. Cardinals pass defense against the tight ends 133 rating, 9 touchdowns given up. Let's get these guys in here, let's get these guys in our lineups. And I think that, they're going to be under 20% owned. Hunter Henry at captain, that dude, he should have had 2 touchdowns a few weeks ago. Hunter Henry at captain is a nice touch at 5,600 to really get a lot of those guys in the flex. What are your thoughts here on tight ends against the Cardinals? I don't love these guys in particularly, but they get a huge boost in this game.
Yeah, man. It's pretty simple. The Cardinals suck at defending tight ends, so you probably want to play him in this position. Even at 15 or 9 points, right? That's the that could end up in the optimal enough to get you to some of these other guys. And I don't know, man. If they're under 25% owned, I'll be above the field on them. I guess that's the easiest way to say it here.
Jonnu is always one of these guys. Jonnu Smith, he's 3K. He's always one of these guys that I try to get in my lineups. And just for whatever reason, he just never pays off. I mean, look at this. He had an 8 fantasy point output. Not bad at 1,200 was his price back then. But he's just not really doing anything. And I'm still waiting on that one big play from Jonnu. Is it this week? This would be the week. If it's going to be any week, this would be the week. So do not count any of these guys out. I think you should be above the field against with these guys. They're both going to be under 20%. Jonnu might be closer to 10%. And if I were to bet on a player to score a touchdown, it's going to be either one of these guys. Obviously, minus Ramondre Stevenson. Let's go to the other side here. Arizona Cardinals, tight ends. No Zach Ertz. Nobody really. We've got Trey McBride at 2,400. Coming out of college, we drafted him. When did we draft him? What was it, 3rd round? It was first couple rounds. Like and he came out of college as basically the best tight end in the country. And he is a great pass catching tight end. He just hasn't shown it this year. Steven Anderson's 200, Max Williams 200. Any interest in these guys? They're dirt cheap. Max Williams, Steven Anderson, Trey McBride's 2,400 is a little bit more expensive than I'd want for him because I just don't know if he can do much in this game.
Yeah, I like Trey McBride, man. He's still tight end 1. They use him specifically for pass downs, passing situations. He's not an excellent blocker by any means, but he's still developing. And I at this point, like you would expect Steve Keim to throw a Hail Mary. Maybe we can develop one of his fucking draft picks for once and turn him into a star player on offense. But I like Trey McBride, man. Eventually, he's going to get some volume. 3-4 targets over the past couple weeks. You just got to catch him and turn him into something. Again, I think having DeAndre Hopkins back is only going to help everybody open up their offense. And then same goes for Steven Anderson and Max Williams. I would expect both to be active, but at $200, if you really need a punt, I don't hate either one of them. Both of them can get a run in the pass game. Again, Trey McBride's not excellent in blocking, so you're going to get Max and Steven Anderson involved in those, extra pass pro or run protection schemes, and we run the RPO just like all these other teams. And all it takes is one leaking tight end to pick up a 25-yard reception at $200 to help get you some of these other guys. So look, probably under 5% for both those two, and then Trey McBride should probably be around 15%, I think.
Yeah, you're right. All right, let's get to kickers and defense. Matt Prater 4K, Nick Folk 4,200. Both guys pretty dang good. Prater, we know Prater can hit from 50 plus like no problem. You get two Matt Prater 50-yard field goals and a couple extra points, he's going to be in the optimal. Nick Folk, 4,200. I really think you got to try to get these kickers involved, especially with a 43.5 point total. I personally think that this can hit the over. I think the Cardinals will put up some points, despite having a bad matchup against the Patriots. But I think you got to try to get these. I mean, we saw last night that was there was a reasonable output of points in that game, and both kickers ended up in the optimal. I don't know that that'll happen in this game, but I think one might be necessary. What are your thoughts on kickers besides getting rid of them altogether on DraftKings?
Yeah, I think both are in prime position to end up with some decent points. You have on the Cardinal side, you have a really good offense, a really good collection of skill players on offense that sucks when it comes to discipline and finishing drives. So they're going to end up with field goals. That's
Yeah.
just what they do. And then when it comes to the Patriots, their offense isn't necessarily anything to write home about, but the Cardinals are once again inconsistent and commit stupid penalties. That's the perfect recipe for stalling out and kicking field goals. So
Yeah.
I guess the short answer is I like both kickers. Probably don't need both, but I do expect one of these to be in the optimal tonight. Probably 20 to 25% ownership on either one of those guys.
All right, so the defenses, Patriots 4,400, Cardinals D 3,800. I think if any game you could consider playing the Cardinals D, it would be maybe this game because you're going up against a not so great offense. A guy like Mac Jones, who basically was benched for Billy Zappi or whatever the hell that guy's name is. I'm not super interested in either defense, although I think the Patriots defense might be a little bit more popular just because they're the Patriots defense, right?
Yeah, look, and I don't think this is a homer take. I do think the Cardinals defense is something that you can think about playing. Again, we saw it with the Saints. They had two pick sixes. They had a touchdown. The Cardinals defense had a touchdown to win the game against the Raiders. So they do have the ability to put up points on defense, and this is an opportunity to go get sacks. They got J.J. Watt healthy. Zach Allen's been balling. You go get a couple sacks and a couple takeaways. I guess maybe you and I are a little bit more optimistic on the Cardinals' ability to win this game. There's more on the line for the Cardinals here than the Patriots. The Patriots don't necessarily have any expectations to win. The Cardinals' defense has been better. It's really been kind of carrying us through the season. So at 3,800, I do think they are a viable option if you want to get kind of crazy.
Well, the interesting thing is they blitz a lot, one of the most in the league. So if you could get 4 or 5 sacks, which I think is very possible, and maybe an interception, you might not necessarily have to have a touchdown out of them, but most likely if this team is going to give up 20 plus points, you're probably going to have to get that touchdown out of them. All right, let's get into our crown their ass segment.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Ellie, you're going Stevenson. Most of the field will have Stevenson. You're going to have to find a way to get different in the flex because he's probably going to be 25% plus owned. D-Hop, for me, is such an obvious play. He's going to be under 10%. He's going to be more than half the ownership of Stevenson. So for me, I really think that that D-Hop with 6-7 receptions can get you there. But there's plenty of other guys that we want to play. There's a lot of dudes from the Cardinals I want to get, and only a few from the Patriots. So I think I'm going to be seeing a lot of 4-2 builds, maybe some 3-3s, but 4-2 Cardinals builds is probably where I'm going. And yeah, maybe that's a homer thing to do, but I really do think that they can actually put up some points in this game. Let's go to our fades.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Ellie, you're probably not going to play much Cards D. I'm going to fade Mac Jones. I'm not interested in him. If he beats me in this matchup and he puts up 20-something fantasy points, fine. There's plenty of other showdown slates to go this year. Anything else to add here?
Nope.
All right, let's get on to our lineup build. We're running a little bit behind. We're going to build a few lineups here with you guys. Remember to throw us a like, guys. We do appreciate it. Our goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit that 1,000 subscribers, we're going to be giving away another couple DraftKings gift cards. I just gave away 2 last night. We hit our 900 subscriber goal. So we'll do that again in maybe like a week or two when we hit 1,000. And that Discord link is down below. If you just scan that, if you're watching on your TV or computer, use your phone, you could scan that, join the Discord for free. There's a lot of stuff going on in there, a lot of helpful information that we can provide as we get closer to lock with inactives and things like that. If there's an inactive that comes out, we're going to figure out how to pivot the best with that. And that's where we're also giving away all of our stuff. All of our giveaways will happen in the Discord. Anyways, let's get into this. Let me just click a button and see what happens. Ramondre Stevenson at captain, Thornton, Prater, Mac Jones, James Conner, Kyler Murray. No pass catchers for the Cardinals in this one. This is not a cash lineup that I would ever use. Let's build a cash lineup together here. Stevenson, obviously a captain. I think that's the clear clearly the best option with the highest floor at captain, and he's not that expensive, so we could fit in some other dudes. So clearly Kyler Murray. Would you put Mac Jones at his price tag here in a cash build? I probably would, right?
I wouldn't. No.
No?
I'd still prioritize DeAndre Hopkins and then see where we're at.
All right, so D Hop here. I mean, where else do we want to go? Do you want to get a guy like Hunter Henry, or do we go kickers? Because there's just not a lot of players on the Patriots that I feel comfortable that they're actually going to pay off.
I guess. Look, let's throw in Mac Jones now that we have the DeAndre in there and kind of see where we're at. I'm not opposed to what Thornton. And what does that put us down? It's still a little bit too awkward for us.
I'd like to get one kicker here. Whether that's Folk or Prater. Probably Folk here. And that leaves us with one punt, which I don't mind doing in one of these cash builds, especially like who could we get at 200? Who's interesting? Like a Kevin Harris.
Steven.
Who?
I would throw Steven Anderson or Max Williamson.
Okay. Let's see. So pick whatever $200 guy you feel most comfortable with. But I don't know, man. This seems like, and you could switch out Nick Folk too, which actually will get you $400 guy here. But this seems to me like something I would do, especially with me fading Mac Jones in all of my tournament lineups, or at least a large portion of them. Me putting Mac Jones into this cash lineup into like $100 single entry or $50 single entry could literally save my night if he goes off. All right, let's build one together with Stevenson. Let's build a tournament lineup that we want to do. Let's put Kyler Murray in. Let's put D-Hop in. Do you want to do like a D-Hop Marquise Brown situation here? All right, so 6,400. Where do we go here? Let's get one more Patriot in, right?
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry at 5,600. That's $800. So not quite Thornton, but one of these dudes like Corey Clement or something. I don't know that I like any of these. So maybe we pull out Hunter Henry, put in Jonnu, and then we can get to a little bit higher price guy here. Let's put Jonnu in 3,400. Where does that get us? It gets us not much. Keontae Ingram, Trey McBride. Oh yeah, you can get Dortch. Forgot about Dortch for a minute. But then now you got three pass catchers, but that's not that big of a deal, especially with Dortch at 2,200. I don't know. Do you like that lineup?
Nah, pull out Jonnu. Let's just throw in Nick Folk.
Okay.
And see what we have left over.
Folk 2,200. So there's your Dortch.
Greg Dortch.
Yeah, I'd rather do Folk than. All right, I'm saving that. Let's move over to a Kyler Murray captain. See how much harder this is going to be considering his price tag. So Kyler, excuse me, D-Hop. I don't think we have to have two pass catchers here with Kyler's rushing ability, but we can. You probably maybe go Dortch here.
Yeah, I would get Dortch.
All right, Greg Dortch. Now let's try to involve some of these pass catchers for the Patriots here. We got to try to, or at minimum, try to get a James Conner involved somehow too. Any interest in Devontae Parker here?
Yeah, throw in Devontae Parker. You probably can still get James Conner too, to be honest with you. And that leaves you Trey McBride.
Well, we don't have Ramondre Stevenson.
Lineup.
We don't have Ramondre Stevenson.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was missing. I was like, why is this so easy? Well, that's why. But it's still easy because now we can get a kicker here at 4,800. This is not bad. The fact that he's 8,800 makes things so much easier. So let's put a kicker in. What do we got going here? We got a 3. Let's put Matt Prater in here. It's a 4-2 with Devontae Parker and Ramondre Stevenson. Kyler Murray at captain, Hopkins, Dortch, and Prater. Not bad. Any other type build you want to do here? There's so many different options here.
Let's do a 2-4 and stack it up the Pats way, just because we're probably not going to do much of that for the other builds. So leave in Kyler, DeAndre, and just pull out the other 4.
Sorry, my light.
I guess you can just leave Ramondre too.
My light fell off. Yeah. All right. So Kyler, D-Hop, Ramondre. Let's put Mac Jones in if we're going to stack it up that way, right?
Yeah. Let's throw in
one of the tight ends. So Thornton. Hunter Henry, right? And Thornton, maybe? Oh, no, we can't get Hunter
We're
Henry.
not going to be able to get.
Damn, that's crazy. So Thornton.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's do it this way. And then what does 1,800 give us? We're still down to like Max Williams or whatever, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if
Robbie
there's anybody else.
Anderson. No, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. So pull out Mac Jones.
What if we take Hop and put in Hollywood?
All right,
Leave Mac Jones in.
that could help. So let's put Mac Jones back in. Let's put Hollywood Brown in. 7,200. I want to get Hunter Henry or at least in this lineup here.
And that's Thornton.
Thornton.
Right?
Hey,
Yeah,
this is nice.
Thornton.
This is nice. Yeah, Thornton. This is what I'm talking about. So 2-4 with Kyler at captain, Murray and Marquise Brown in the flex with Mac Jones, Hunter Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, and Thornton. That's pretty nice, dude. I like that a lot. Let's move on to now. I know we talked about putting D Hop in the captain. Basically, with Kyler, they're around the same price. We're gonna move on. We're not gonna do that. Let's pick another one that we can. Maybe Marquise
Hollywood.
Brown. Yeah, let's do Marquise Brown here.
Yeah.
That'll be our last lineup build here. We're approaching that 50-minute mark. So let's put Kyler in the flex. Let's get Ramondre
go
Stevenson.
James.
You want to get James Conner?
Yeah. Do James and Ramondre. We'll fade Hop on this one.
Okay, 8,600. Tons of options here, man. Tons of options.
Throw in. I think we can do Trey McBride and one of the kickers, right? Or is that too much?
No, we got 8,600 left, dude. We can do a lot more than that. We can do, yeah. I mean, yeah. We have a lot more room. We might be able to do. Can we do? No, we can't. We could do Jonnu and a kicker. Or you can do Hunter Henry and go with McBride
Trey.
or Dortch. I like Dortch way more than McBride at that price, and he's cheaper too. So that's an option. Now, let's just say if you didn't want Hunter Henry, you could go with Kendrick Bourne, Nelson. Let's just put Nelson Aguilar in here at 5K since he's the cheapest wide receiver and see what that gets us. 3,600 doesn't really get us much. That gets you Jonnu as well. I don't know if I'm super interested in that.
What about Thornton over Aguilar?
Yeah, let's try it.
We're not even thinking about that value.
Yeah, you're right. 7,200. Tons of options. Devontae Parker. Now, obviously, we don't have Mac Jones in this lineup, but I don't think that's the end of the world. You could do Hunter Henry here, Kendrick Bourne. There's a lot of options here. Probably let's pull out. I think what's making it awkward is James Conner. Let's pull James Conner out here.
Yeah.
Let's put in, I don't know, what do you think, Dortch right off the bat? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, throw in Dortch. That's fine.
Put in Dortch. We got Thornton. Oh,
Jesus.
Jiminy Christmas, man. All right, that's a lot. All right, so you want to put in Mac Jones?
Yeah, just do it. Just throw him in.
All right,
and now we're at a kicker, I think.
No, we're way above that. 6,800.
God damn.
Devontae,
Parker?
yeah, look at that. Devontae, and then rotate all these dudes out. Hunter Henry, all these guys in this 5K range. Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, even go down to the kickers if you want. But that's what we're working with, man. This is not bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have a lot more Hollywood captain than I thought I was going to.
Hollywood captain, but even a guy like Kyler at captain, we still have options. We have we don't have that absolute incredible $200 guy or $800 guy or whatever, but we've got a couple like $2,200 guys, $1,400 guys that really can do some damage. So after building here, Ellie, what are your thoughts? This seems like a little bit easier building than I thought it would be. Maybe just because there's not a lot of Patriots guys that I love, so I'm doing more 4-2 Cardinals. But what jumps out to you?
Yeah, man. I don't think the building was as tough. I don't think we're gonna need to take as many stabs as we normally do on some of these low price dudes. But I'll still probably play a little bit of Max Williams and Steven Anderson.
Yeah, of course. I think focusing on Kyler at captain is, especially if he comes in under 10% owned, it's stupid not to put him in there. Like I said, if he gets his just average output of rushing 40 yards and he gets you a touchdown rushing, just a 5-yard sneak or something, you got 10 fantasy points without him even throwing the ball. And that is insane, especially putting him at captain and not having the 6 points on the other end of a passing touchdown. I'm going to have a lot of Kyler captain just based on what we were building. So what are your thoughts on the final score here, and who's a low-owned guy that you think will score?
27-17 Arizona. Low-owned guy that I think is going to score is Trey McBride, man. I think he pulls one down.
Nice. 30-24 Cardinals. I think, look, Hunter Henry might be under 20% owned. I would consider that pretty low owned. I'm calling my shot with Hunter Henry here. Either him or Jonnu. Jonnu is going to happen one of these days. All right, guys. We appreciate it. What's next for us? Thursday Night Football? What is that game? Anybody?
Hopefully it's an exciting game.
Comment down below what that game is, because hopefully it's exciting, because these Thursday night games can't get flexed and it's kind of weird. If this wasn't our team, the Cardinals, this probably wouldn't be a very interesting game for me.
It's 49ers Seahawks.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. There's going to be some offense in that game, hopefully. All right, we will see you guys later. Join that Discord. Throw us a like on the way out. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you for Thursday.